Hi grade 12s and welcome. Yes, Mr. Mustafa here. In this video we're going to solve the mathematics paper 1, the final exam, November 2023. So let's get straight into solving this paper here. So question 1.1.1 says solve for x, and we want to solve this question x squared plus x minus 12 x squared plus x minus 12. How do we solve this question? In order to solve this question, we need to factor them out, or you can use a calculator. I'll show you how to use a calculator just now. So factors of 12 is using 4 and 3 we can get plus 1, so it should be plus 4 and x minus 3 is equal to 0. So therefore x is equal to negative 4 or x is equal to 3. Now using the calculator you can use this method here. You can go to mode 5 and 3. Make sure to select the quadratic option. So selecting the quadratic option, the value of a here is 1, the value of b is 1, and the value of c is negative 12. Right, so see what answer you get. You get x equals 3, write it down, and you get x equals negative 4, write it down. And then going backward, just take the negative 4 over and take the 3 over. So you get x minus 3 as a factor. Taking the negative 4 over, you get x plus 4 as a factor. So you can also use a calculator to factorize this. Looking at the second question. Right, so pretty simple, because they said must write the answer, solve for x, answers correct to 2 decimal places. So we know we have to use a quadratic formula there. We don't have an option. Right, so if you copy the quadratic formula from your formula sheet, you should get x equals minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now if you substitute the values of a, b, c, a is equal to 3, b is equal to negative 2, and the value of c is equal to, make sure to bring the 6 over, it's not in standard form. So let's write this in standard form. So you need to solve this equation, 3x squared minus 2x, bring the 6 over. It has to be equal to 0, right? So the value of c is negative 6. So minus b will give me minus minus 2 plus minus. Now whenever you substitute, try to put them in in brackets. B squared is minus 2 all squared minus 4. A is 3, and the value of c is negative 6 all over 2a, 2 times 3. Therefore x equals, let's try to simplify this, 2 plus minus the square root of, that should give me the square root of minus 2 squared is 4, mode 1, 4, minus and minus will give me, okay, let's just put it in, 4 minus 4 into 3 into negative 6. So the inside of the square root I'm getting 76 divided by 6. Now sometimes what they do is they tell you to write the answer in surd form. So let me just show you how to write the surd form. Remember, square root of 76, you can write it as 2 root, because that's 4 times 19, 4 times 19, so 2 root 19 divided by 6. Now remember, each term over here you can divide it by 2, so you can divide by 2 on top and divide by 2 at the bottom. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, plus minus root 19 divided by 3. So you see that you are getting two answers, 1 plus root 19. Basically, if you type out this entire thing over here with the plus or the minus, you should get these two answers. See, let's just type it out as is. I'm not going to type minus 2 because that's already positive 2 minus the square root of, we finish work this out, so that is just 76 divided by 6. See what you get? You get 1 minus root 19 over 3. We can put the answer as negative 1 comma 1. Look at the third decimal is more than 5, so negative 1 comma 1 2. So the answer for x is negative 1 comma 1 2, or, and taking the one with a plus, remember the plus, taking the one with the plus, you should get 1,79, not 7, because that's more than 5. So if it's more than and equal to 5, it rounds off to the next one. So 1,79, or x equals 1,79. I hope you guys are understanding. Right, so this is in third form and this is in two decimal places form. Yeah, so that's basically your answer. Now to do it on the calculator, see, you're gonna do this step, the first step, second step, and now from here you don't need to do these steps. You can just go to the final answer. How? You can do again mod 5 3. After you do these compulsory steps here, right, you can go straight to the final answer. I'll show you how to do it. Mod 5 3, so 3 and negative 2 and negative 6. Right, so you can see you're getting these answers, 1,79, and second answer is negative 1,12. I hope you guys understand. Now you can only do this on the silver calculator. You can't really do it on the previous versions of this, like the black calculator. Anyways, continuing on to the next question, we have a nice third equation, 1.1.3. Now how do we solve this third equation? So you keep the third on one side and variables on the other side. Make sure to do the restriction. You know the square root of anything is always positive, so we know x minus 1, the restriction, is always greater than equal to 0. So x is greater than equal to 1. So we can only choose answers for x that is greater than equal to 1. So now squaring both sides here, if I square this side and if I square this side, squaring both sides, I'm going to get x minus 1 all squared. Let's write it down. Is equal to, squaring the square root, you will get 2x plus 1. Right, so now we will open this up. So you will get x squared, squaring a binomial, so x squared plus 1 at the end, and middle term is the product of these two terms, which is negative x times 2. So double the product of the two terms, so negative 2x, and bringing the 2x over, you get negative 2x, and bringing the 1 over, you get minus 1, which is equal to 0. So now what we see is that plus 1 and minus 1 cancels out, and all we have here is x squared minus 4x is equal to 0. We take out x as a common factor and we get x minus 4 is equal to 0. So we get two answers. Therefore x equals 0 or x equals 4. Now according to our restriction, only x equals to 4 works, so we need to reject x equal to 0 since it is not greater than equal to 1. So it's less than, it's less than equal to 1. It's less than 1. So we only take x equals to 4 as the answer. If you substitute 0 into the original equation, what you will find is, in the original, not with the squared equation, you get 0 minus 1, and you know the square root of a number can't be, so on the left hand side you're getting 1 and on the right hand side you are getting minus 1. So 0 can't be equal to minus 1. That's the reason why you reject. So we only have one answer, therefore x equals 4. Looking at the next question, 1.1.4, we can see a nice quadratic inequality here, and solving this quadratic inequality, we need to write it in standard form first, right? To write it in standard form, take the 2x over. So if I bring the 2x over, I will get x squared minus 2x minus 3 is greater than 0. We can factorize x, x greater than 0. Now remember, if it's a inequality, you need to write the answer in inequality notation, right? So we can use 3 and 1 to get minus 2. So minus 3 plus 1 will give me minus 2. Now you take these critical values here and put them on the number line. So if you solve the first bracket, you get -1. You solve the second bracket, you get 3. Now because this is in standard form, with a positive, you can write down plus, minus, plus, or if you want these signs, choose any value after 3, like the number 10. 10 plus 1 is positive, 10 minus 3 is positive, positive times positive is positive. So since we have one positive here, alternate the signs, negative, positive. Now you can only alternate the sign if the factors are linear. You can see x plus 1 is linear, x minus 3 is linear. Now what's the answer? The answer is we're looking for a positive answer. So my answers are going more than 3, or my answer is less than -1. So we're going to write this answer down. X is less than -1, or X is more than 3. It's not including 3 because it's just greater than. Yeah, and that's your answer. I hope you guys are understanding. Moving on to the next question, we want to solve simultaneous equation here. Right, it's a nice simultaneous equation because something different. Right, usually they give a quadratic there, but see how it's written. So no issues. We're going to solve for x or y first. So let's solve on this side. We're going to solve for x first. So x is equal to 2y minus 2. Right, now since this is the value of x, right, we're going to substitute it here. Right, now instead of substituting there, why don't we simplify this function? Because we know our LCD is xy, right, and this will become y plus x equals, because x can go into x can go into xy y times, so y here, y times 1, y can go into xy x times, so x times 1 is x, is equal to 1. If you cross multiply, you're going to get y plus x is equal to xy, because I cross multiplied, right? 1 over 1. 1 times y plus x is y plus x, and x times y, xy times 1 is xy. Now we know what the value of x is, 2y minus 2. So y plus 2y minus 2, that's what x is equal to y into, what is x? 2y minus 2. If you want to write it like this, there is no issues. You can write it like this as well, put the y at the end, no problem. Right, and now we will expand and simplify. So what we see here is that we have 3y minus 2 is equal to y times 2y is 2y squared, y times minus 2y is minus 2y. Now we have a quadratic, so we can take everything over. We have 2y squared minus 2y minus 3y is minus 5y, taking the 2 over, plus 2 is equal to 0. Now to solve this equation, we're going to open up factors, right, and x equals or x equals. Now let me just use a calculator to solve this, because you're allowed to use a calculator, right? So we're going to go mod 5 3, 2 minus 5 2, 2 minus 5 and 2. So see what answer I'm getting. X equals 2, and the second answer I'm getting is x equals half. Now to put half in the bracket, you're going to say 2y. You see this 2, you're going to multiply it across and take the 1 over, so minus 1. And you see this 2 here, just take it over, x minus 2. So see, everything is factorized. Now I'll take the value of 2 and put it into, it shouldn't be y, it should be y equals, not x equals. Yeah, it should be y minus 2, not x. Just be careful guys, because the variable is y you're solving for. So y equals 2, y equals half. Now you're going to take the value of 2 and put it inside this x here. So if y is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 minus 2 is 2. So x is 2. Or if y is half, 2 times half is 1. And 1 minus 2 is minus 1. So x equals minus 1. So these are my answers, right? So my answers are 2, 2, or -1 and half. So remember, this is a straight line, and that's more like type of equation, I think this equation here is maybe a hyperbola, because if you solve for y, yeah, so it's basically a point of intersection of, I think it should be a hyperbola if you try to interpret this. That's xy minus y is equal to x. So y, yes, it's a hyperbola, because if you solve for y, then you're going to have a rational function. Right, so basically this here explains that this is simultaneous equation is basically you solving for points of intersection of two different types of graphs. Anyways, continuing on to the next question. Question 1.3. See what we have in question 1.3. Right, we have some exponents there. Now what they told us here is we want to find the value of m plus n. To find the value of m plus n, see what we have on this side. We got 2 to the power m plus 1. I'm going to break it up, okay? M times 2 plus 2 to the power m. I'm just trying a method out. I don't really know where I'm heading towards. But anyways, let's simplify this. And this side I've got 3 to the power n times 3 squared minus 3 to the power n. That's what I have so far. Now, to find the value of m plus n. M and n are integers. Alright, so we have 2 to the power m. I can take out as a common factor. I'm left with 2 plus 1. And on this side, if I take out 3 to the power n as a common factor, I'm left with 9. 3 squared is 9 minus 1. Okay? So what we have here is 2 to the power m times 3 is equal to 3 to the power n times 8. So how will this work now? Alright, so 8 we can write as, that's 3 to the power 1. This is 3 to the power 1. And 8 we can write as 2 cubed. So 2 to the power m is equal to times 3. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to divide the left hand side by 8, and alright, so dividing both sides by 8, we can bring the 8 here and the 3 there. It's kind of like we cross multiplied. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3 to the power m. So 2 to the power m divided by 3 to the power n is equal to 8 divided by 3. So if you cross multiply here, you know you're getting the same thing. Should we do it like this? But now we got 2 to the power m and 3 to the power n. Nope, we're not going anywhere with this. Let's try another technique. Let's just simplify this for what we're doing. 2 to the power m times 3 equals 3 to the power n times 2 to the power 3. Now I want to write this out. We want to write this out, so we're going to write this as dividing both sides by 8. So you will get 2 to the power m, because you're dividing by 2 cubed, minus 3, and dividing this side by 3, n minus 1. Alright, so we divided by 2 cubed here and taking this side, dividing by 3. So you kind of like writing it in ratio form, what I was just doing before this. Should we use logs? Just trying to think if we can use logs here. Yeah, I think I'm going to use logs here. So I can say m minus 3 is equal to log 3 to the power n minus 1 base 2. I hope this works out. So m is equal to, now we have a rule for logs where this power can go to the front. So this is n minus 1 log 3 base 2. So plus another 3 here because of this. We have a problem here, guys. Alright, so now if we open this first part out here, if we open this out, we're going to get n log, no, we're going too far into this. Let's see what we have done wrong here. We have 2 to the power m plus 1 plus 2 to the power m equals 3 to the power n plus 2 minus 3 to the power n. So that's the equation that we have. How can we solve this equation? Determine the value of m plus n. We want to find the value of m plus n. So what I've done here is I've factored it out, but this is not helping because this is base 2 and this is base 3. We can't really drop the bases, so that's the problem we are having. But if you try to use trial and error from here, if you let m equal 6, I'm just trying out 6, alright? If m equals 6 and n equals 3, see what you get. If m is 6, then you get 2 cubed, which is left hand side is equal to 8, and the right hand side is equal to what you're getting here is 3 squared, 3 cubed, no, 3 squared, which is 9. So that doesn't work out. Right, so I'm going to try different values of m and n to solve this. If m is 0, 0 won't work. Does 1 work? I'm going to get quarter. 2, does 2 work? If I substitute 2 inside here, I'm going to get 2 to the power negative 1. No. If I substitute 3 inside here, if m is 3, yes, if m is equal to 3, okay. So I kind of have like an idea. The only way that this here will work is if you have 2 to the power 0 equals 3 to the power 0. So make both sides equal to 0. Therefore, m minus 3 is equal to 0, or and n minus 1 is also equal to 0. So m is equal to 3 and n is equal to 1. So we kind of solve it. So m plus n is equal to 4. So the value of m plus n is actually 4. Yeah, I think this should be one of the, because that's what they said, determine the value of m plus n. They didn't say values, the value of m plus n. Determine the value of m plus n. Yeah, so that's what I have. M plus n is equal to 4. If you have a different method, please don't forget to comment. Right? Let's move on to the next question. Quite challenging, this one, yeah, right? So that's more like usually they have those challenge problems in question 1. Let's look at question 2. Question 2 is on sequence and series. In question 2 we have sequence and series, so 7 plus 12 plus, it is an arithmetic series, they told us, so we know what the common difference is, so we can write down Tn is equal to a plus n minus 1d, because we want term 91. So Tn is equal to, what's a? A is 7 plus n minus 1, d is 12 minus 7, which is 5. So we have 7 plus 5n minus 5, which is so what's the value? 5n, writing it in n form, an plus b. 7 minus 5 is minus 2. Substitute a value like 1, should be plus 2. Substitute a value of 1, so you're getting 7. Substitute 3, 5 times 3 is 15 plus 2 is 17, so this works. So therefore term 91 is 5 into 91 plus 2. So what's 5 times 91 plus 2? So I'm just going to use a calculator, right? Because I get like really tired solving these. 5 times 91 plus 2. So what we're getting is 457. So we know 457 is the 91th term. Moving on to the next question, calculate S91. Now remember, you calculated the 91th term, which is kind of like the last term in this series. So if you want to find S91, we can use the SN formula, right? We can use the SN formula, which is n over 2. Now don't use 2a plus n minus 1 d, use a plus l. So if you're finding S91, so I'm just going to say S91 is n over 2, 91 over 2. A is the first term, which is 7, and last term is 457, right? And I will just get this answer on the calculator. 91 over 2 into 7 plus 457. You see, first term, last term, 91 term is the last term, right? And that's the answer, 21,112. 21112. Yeah, I hope you guys are understanding, because we want the sum to the 91st term, right? Sum to 91 terms. Right, so you can use the 2a plus n minus 1d. You should get the same answer from the formula sheet. Moving on to the next question. Which term of the sequence is 517? So you want to solve for n, right? Just solve for n such that you get an answer which is 517. Let's solve for n here. So term Tn formula is 5n plus 2 is equal to 517. So 5n is equal to 517 minus 2, which is 515. Dividing both sides by 5, 515 divided by 5, 515 divided by 5, you should get 103. I hope you guys understand. Right, so it's the 103rd term, which is 517. They just said must find the value of n, right? So that's done. Moving on to the next question, which is, yeah, so see what they told us. It's a quadratic number pattern, okay? Now in this quadratic number pattern, I'm going to draw a tree here, right? So the following information is given about a quadratic pattern. So term 1 is 3. So we know term 1 is 3. I'm going to write difference 1 here, and I'm going to write difference 2 there. Right, so remember this is term 2 minus term 3. Remember this is term 1, that's term 2, term 3, term 4, and term 5. And alright, I'm going to do this, make my trees. That value, this value minus this value, right? That's all we need. Now term 2 minus term 3 is 9, so put 9 here. So obviously term 2 would have been what? 12. 3 plus 9, 12. So 12 minus 3 is 9. Then term 3 minus term 2 is 21. So we got 21 here. So what would have been term 3? What is term 3 here? Term 3 over here would be 12 plus 21, which is 33. Okay, so let's see what we're doing here now. We are adding, what are we doing? We adding 9, then we're adding 21. So we kind of have a pattern. So 21 minus 9, what's 21 minus 9? That's 12, right? So obviously that's going to be 12. So 21 plus 12, this value will give me, what's 21 plus 12? That will give me 33, because if this is 21 minus 9, 21 minus 9 is 12. Yes. Right, so we can see 21 minus 9, see, 21 minus 9 is 12. And then we're taking 9 plus 12 is 21, 21 plus 12 is 33, alright? And then how will we get this value here? So obviously this value would have been 66, right? Because 66 minus 33 is, and then adding 12 here, if you're going to add 12 here, you're going to get the next value, which is 45. So we're going to get 66 plus 45. Sixty-six plus 45, 60 plus 40, so we're getting 111. Right, so show that term 5 is 111. So how are we going to show this answer? We're going to say, alright, so there, you basically showed it here in the circles, right? We kind of, so therefore, but how would you write it mathematically? We're going to say term 4. How did we get term 4? Because we had 21 here, you're going to say 33 plus 33. And you say term 5 is 66 plus 45. So we showed that term 5 is 111. Yeah, basically using the trees here. Now I'm going to use the same information in the second one to find the general term of the pattern. So to find the general term of the pattern, remember we're going to use this. So there's three formulas to use. 2a is equal to d2. So we're going to use these terms, the 12, the 9, and the 3. So we say 2a is equal to d2. So what are the three formulas? 2a equals d2, 3a plus b is equal to difference 1, and then a plus b plus c is equal to term 1. Right, so 2a is equal to d2, which is 12, so therefore a is equal to 6. So see, your answers are working out. So 3 times a, see the value of a, which is 6, we're going to substitute here. 3 times 6 is 18, plus b is equal to difference 1. What's difference 1? 9. So 9 minus 18 is equal to negative 9. So see, we're getting 6, negative 9. Now what's a plus b? 6 minus 9 is, see, we working this out. What's a plus b? 6 minus 9, which is negative 3, plus c is equal to term 1. What's term 1? 3. So the value, therefore, c is 6. I hope you guys are understanding. Right, so we got the value of c, which is 6. So therefore, Tn is equal to 6n squared minus 9n plus 6. Right, so we have the answer. Moving on to the next question. Very nice question, right? See what they said. Show that the pattern is increasing for all n is an element of natural numbers. Now how do you show that the pattern is increasing? For natural numbers. So to show that the pattern is increasing, we can find the x value of the turning point. So xtp. Why? Because this is a quadratic function. So if you think about the quadratic function, that's a happy face, right? So if we can find the value there, we know when it is increasing. It's increasing for values greater than this. So the x value of the turning point is minus b over 2a. Minus b is minus 9 over 2a, 2 times 6. Right, so what I have here is 9 over 12, which is basically 3/4. Right, so I know the x value here is 3/4. Right, if I think about this, I know the x value is, okay, I can't put the axis there because I don't know what's the x-intercept. So right, so we know x is greater than 3/4, increasing for real numbers, increasing for increasing for x is an element of real numbers. So this implies if you want to find the first natural number after this, we're going to say for x greater than equal to 1, any value after this point here, for x greater than equal to 1, so we should say n, for n greater than equal to 1, for n greater than equal to 1, Tn is strictly increasing, is always increasing. Right, so we kind of solve this problem for n greater than 1 and n is an element of, oh no, we can just say if n greater than equal to 1 basically means n is an element of natural numbers. So comma, you should write for n greater than equal to 1, n is an element of natural numbers. So basically we're taking discrete values. N is an element of natural. Discrete value means counting numbers. Tn is always increasing. So we showed that the pattern is always increasing for n greater than 1. What you can alternatively do is you can also find the derivative, or you can say Tn prime is 12n minus 9 and make it greater than 0. So you're going to get 12n is greater than 9, n is greater than 9 over 12. So n is greater than 9 over 12, which is 3/4. This implies for n is an element of natural numbers, Tn is increasing. Right, so first method I use graphs, grade 11 knowledge, and the second method I use derivative, because when you say it's greater than 0, it means it is increasing. That's positive slope. Right, I hope you guys understand. Nice question here. So we had two lovely questions which was like level 4. Let me just put asterisks here, and there was another question which was like level 4, this one here. Nice question here as well. Moving on to the next question. Question 3. Write down the general term of this series. Okay, let's take both the questions and then solve them. Writing down the general term of the series, we know Tn is equal to ar to the power n minus 1. The a is the first term because they said it's geometric series, so I'm using the general term of the geometric series. You can take that from your formula sheet, right? So a is 3. The common ratio is 6 divided by 3, which is 2 to the power n minus 1. So 3 times 2 to the power n minus 1. Right, now calculate the value of k such that, now if you observe the inside here, right, if you observe this, that's the same thing as saying Tn formula. So I can say p equals 1 to k of 3 over 2, 2 to the power p is equal to 98301. Now this is the same thing as saying Tn formula, because you can break this up and write it as 2 to the power n times 2 to the power minus 1, and you got times 3 there. 2 to the power minus 1 can go at the bottom, so that's 3 over 2 times 2 to the power n. You can also write your Tn formula like this. Right, so we observe that this is the same thing as saying the Tn formula, but we're not going to solve it like that. We're going to what we're going to do is substitute p as 1, 2, 3 and so on. So if I substitute p value as 1, right, if I substitute p value as 1 inside here, I will get 3 plus substituting p value 2, so you kind of like just summing up these terms, 3 plus 6 plus 12 plus dot 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 right up to 3 over 2 times 2 to the power k, right, is equal to 98301. So this is basically the Sn formula of a geometric series. You know this is diverging because the numbers are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So use this formula, a r to the power n minus 1 over r minus 1, which is equal to 98301. Now Sn, we don't know how many terms they are, right? So we're gonna replace n with k because there are k number of terms. How we know that? N is equal to k minus 1 plus 1, right? So n is equal to k terms. If you count from 1 to k, there's k terms, right? So instead of n, we're gonna write k. So a, what's a? A is 3. A is 3, r common ratio is 2 to the power k minus 1 divided by 2 minus 1 equals 98301. Now you know 2 minus 1 is just 1, right? So take that out. You're going to take 98301 divided by 3 and then add the 1, right? 98301 divided by 3. I'm getting 32767. That's 2 to the power k minus 1. Now add 1 here, 32768. That's 2 to the power k. Right, solve this equation. Many ways of solving. You can use logs, or you can say 2 to the power what is 32,768. I'm going to try 2 to the power 15. Whoa, so I got 32768. So that's 2 to the power 15. Therefore k is equal to 15, dropping the bases on both sides. Or I can use logs. 2 to the power k equals 32768. So k equals log 32768 base 2. So I will get 15. Let's try it out. Log base 2 32768. See, I'm getting 15. You can try the third method, which is kind of just putting it into the function alpha x, and this is being lazy now, right? 32768 and press shift solve and see, you get an answer which is, it's going to take long. Okay, we got a problem here. 32768, 2 to the power x equals shift solve. Okay, this is not going to work out, right? It's not going to give me an answer. I don't know why. Let me know in the comments. Anyways, so the value for k is 15, right? So there is calculate the value of k such that that's true. So the value of k is 15. You can check it up in the sigma notation, right? So we can say sigma, see what here, shift sigma and put x equals 1 to 15 of, remember, 3 over 2 into 2 to the power alpha x, right? Because the value of k, I just changed the value of p, and see what I get. I get 98301. So I know the answer of k equals 15 is correct. Moving on to the next question. Right, this is another difficult question, more like level 4 type. I don't know, I haven't seen the paper. First time I'm solving the paper with you guys. Right, so just try to think differently. All right, let's see. A geometric sequence and an arithmetic sequence have the same first term. So we have a GP. We have a geometric sequence. Sorry, geometric progression. A sequence progression, same thing, right? So geometric progression. What's the geometric progression? It has the same first term A, and arithmetic progression, it has the same first term, which is A. The common ratio of the geometric sequence is 1/3, so we know R equals 1/3. The common difference of the arithmetic sequence is 3, so we know D is equal to 3. The sum of 22 terms of the arithmetic sequence is 734. S22 is equal to 734 more than the sum of 22 terms of the arithmetic sequence is 734 more than the sum to infinity of the geometric sequence. So plus sum to infinity of geometric sequence. Calculate the value of the first term. So this is an important information, so we're going to use this. Right, so before we use this, let's work out sum to infinity. What is sum to infinity? A over 1 minus R. Alright, sum to infinity is A over 1 minus R, so that's A over 1 minus 1/3, which is going to give me A over 2/3, and 1 divided by 2/3 is 3 over 2, 3 over 2A. Right, so that's what I have. So S22 is an arithmetic sequence. So S22 is, let's work out S22 as well. That's n over 2 into 2a plus n minus 1d. So that's going to be 22 over 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 is 22 minus 1, which is 21. And what's d? D is 3. So we have 11 into 2a plus 63. So we have S22, which is 11 into 2a plus 63. That's 22a. So I'm trying to simplify this now. 22a, 11 times 63. 11 times 63. I'm getting 693 is equal to 734 plus, what's sum to infinity? 3 over 2a. 3 over 2a. Now we're going to bring the 693 over and 3 over 2 over. So 22 minus, so this is like 1.5, right? So let's just make it 1.5a, 3 over 2. So 22 minus 1.5 is 20.5a, 20,5a equals 734 minus 693. We can just take 34 plus 7, so I'm going to get 41. So the value of a is basically 2. Right, so I've calculated the value of a, which is 2. Let's check using our calculator. We got 734 minus 693, all right, 41, and then divided by 2, 20.5. Right, so we got the answer of value of a, which is 2. It was quite simple. It wasn't like really that difficult. It's just more like solving this formula, which is critical in setting up. I'm moving on to the next question. Alright, so we have a question on functions now, question 4. Alright, so let's take this in separate parts because I like to explain this to you guys. So this function looks like an exponential function, yes, and it is. right? And it has a starting value and an ending value. Remember, we're starting at -2, ending at 4, but not including 4. So something different, and it's nice because it's like the graph is in pieces only. It's not continuing forever. Right, so question number 1, let's see what it says. Question number 1, write down the asymptotes of f, determine the coordinates of b. We'll take both the questions, right? Because we know for an exponential function we only get a horizontal asymptote. You must see where the graph is sketched, or we can also work that out from the graph. Alright, so see, as we see here, we can see the horizontal asymptote is at -4. How we know that? Because that's a value. So write down the equation of the asymptote of f, y equals -4, and you can write this is horizontal. Right, it's an horizontal asymptote. Determine the coordinates of b. To find the coordinates of b, you make it's an x-intercept. You need to make y 0. So 2 to the power x minus 4 is equal to 0. Take the 4 over and write it as 2 squared. Drop the bases, therefore x is equal to 2. So to find the coordinates of b, b is 2, 0. Right, so 2, 0 is the value of b. Moving on to the next question. Right, so we want to find the equation of the straight line passing through the points A and B. So to the coordinates of B, what's the coordinates of B? Coordinates of B is 2, 0. What's the coordinates of A? Coordinates of A is making x 0. So remember, we had the function f of x, which is 2 to the power x minus 4. So we want to solve the y-intercept. So 2 to the power 0 minus 4, because we need to make x 0 at the y-intercept. So that's 1 minus 4, which is equal to -3. So what's the coordinates of A? 0 and -3. So we have -3 here, which is also the y-intercept. So all we need to find is a gradient. So what's the gradient? A is 0 and -3. The coordinates of B is 2, 0. So gradient is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So AB, let's take this as y1, x1 y1, x2 y2. So 0 minus -3, 0 minus -3 divided by 2 minus 0. So what I'm getting is 3 over 2 as my gradient, and my y-intercept is -3 already. So k of x equals mx plus c. M is 3 over 2x, and the value of c is -3 because it has a common y-intercept. It's also the y-intercept of the straight line. Remember, we're trying to find the equation of this line here. So as you see, that equation of that line, let's make it straight a bit. Okay, so it's passing through the y-intercept -3 and is passing through 2. And you can also check the gradient like this. You're going up 3 units and rise over run 3 over 2. So 3 over 2x plus 3 over 2x minus 3. Right, so I've got my equation 3 over 2x minus 3. Let's write it below this, okay? Next question. Calculate the vertical distance between k and f at x is equal to 1. Now at x is equal to 1, what's the vertical distance? It's somewhere around here. So it's a straight line minus the exponential function. Remember, we are on the vertical distance at 1. So I'm just taking the portion of the graph to explain it to you. Alright, so we want the vertical distance which occurs here. Right, so I'm going to substitute 1 at x equals to 1. So I'm going to substitute 1 to get the y value here, and I'll substitute 1 inside the. So what is k of 1? K of 1 is 3 over 2 minus 3. 3 over 2 times 1 minus 3, right? So that's 1.5 minus 3, negative 1.5. And if you try to work out f of 1, which is the exponential function, that's 2 to the power 1 minus 3. 2 to the power 1 is not minus 3, minus 4. Should be minus 4. 2 to the power 1 minus 4, that looks like 21. 2 to the power 1 minus 4 is 2 minus 4, negative 2. So what's the distance? The distance is k minus f. So distance is negative 1.5, the top graph minus the bottom graph, minus 2. So the distance is half, because minus 1.5 plus 2 is half, and we want a distance, vertical distance. So don't put your answer as negative, because you can't get negative distance. You can get negative displacement if you're doing physics. Right, so next question. We want to write down the equation of g. It's a transformation question such that g of x is f of x plus 4. We're just shifting this graph 4 units up. So we can write g of x is equal to 2 to the power x. What was f of x? Minus 4. Now we're adding 4. So g of x is equal to 2 to the power x. Simple. Next question. Write down the domain of g inverse. You want to write down the domain of g inverse. Wait, hold on. Now when you're writing these equations, make sure you write the, because this is f of x plus 4, and the f of x graph was only sketched between minus 2 and 4. So you need to put all these further restrictions. So you need to write down this restriction as well. X is an element from minus 2 to 4, because it's part of this, right? So minus 2 to 4. Minus 2 to 4, yes. That's also part of the function. You have to write down this restriction, otherwise it doesn't make sense. Write down the domain of g inverse. The domain of g inverse will basically be the range of this. So we're going to work out the range of g, right? The domain becomes a range. Range of g. What's the range of g? Take minus 2 and substitute it here. So 2 to the power minus 2 and 2 to the power 4. Alright? 2 to the power minus 2, you can't put 2 to the power 4 in brackets, so let's do this. So yes, right, so that's correct. The range of g is y is an element of, right, where did we get this? This is the function. We're substituting minus 2 here and 4 there. So y is an element from quarter to 2 to the power 4 is 16. Okay, so what will be the domain? This implies the range becomes the domain. So domain of g inverse will become quarter, x is greater than quarter but less than 16. I hope you guys understood this. Moving on to the next question. Next question is, write down the equation of g inverse. Write down the domain of g inverse. We did that. Write down the equation of g inverse in the form y equals. Alright, so you know the inverse of exponential is a log graph. So we're going to start with G graph, which is y equals 2 to the power x. G inverse is switch the x and the y, so x equals 2 to the power y. Now solve for y. This implies y equals log x base 2. Log x base 2, and we know x is an element from quarter to 16. From quarter to 16. Okay, x is an element from quarter to 16, as you see here. Right, so log x base 2. Alright, so I hope you understood that. Let's move on to more functions. Alright, let's take the first part. Guys, I hope you're understanding. If you don't understand anything, and if you have like different methods, don't forget to write in the comment box. Continuing on to question number 5. Right, let's read this question. So we have a parabola and a hyperbola. Nice mix of questions. Parabola and a hyperbola, amazing. Right, let's see. We have minus half x minus 1 all squared plus 8, and g of x is d over x. G of x is d over x, which is a hyperbola. Horizontal asymptote, vertical asymptote, we can write down. A is a point of intersection of f and g. Where's A? A, oh no, not A. It's not the coordinate. A point of intersection of f and g is B. The turning point of f, where it is B, is also the turning point. The graph of f has intercepts minus 3, 0. Graph of f has minus 3, 0 and 5, 0, and y-intercept at C. Okay, we can find all that because we got f of x function. We don't need really all that. We can find the coordinates of B. The coordinates of B is opposite sign from here, so 1 and 8. So I hope that's the first question. Alright, let's try to solve this problem two at a time. Alright, so find the coordinates of the turning point F. Alright, so you know how many marks these are. I don't need that. Alright, so let's do this. What's the coordinates of write down the coordinates of the turning point of F. Turning point is at B. B is the turning point, and the coordinate is 1. See, it's already written in TP form, 1 and 8. Right? Calculate the coordinates of C. C is a y-intercept, so you need to make x 0. So f of 0, which is negative half into 0 minus 1 squared plus 8. Right, so that's 1. So minus half plus 8, which is 7,5. Minus half plus 8, 7,5. So what's the coordinates of C? 0 and 7,5 is the same thing as saying 15 over 2. Or you can write 7,5. Moving on to the next question. Calculating the value of D. What is D? How can I go and find the value of D? Right, so to find the value of D, you can take one of the points that lies on the hyperbola, like in this case, 1 and 8, and substitute it into this equation. So to find the value of D, we can say y is equal to d over x at B, which is 1 and 8. The value of so you can just say x times y. So D is equal to x is 1 and y is 8, and 1 times 8 is 8. So the value of D is 8. Right, so we got the answer for D. Write down the range of G. What's the range of G? What is the G graph? The G graph is the hyperbola, and the range is y is an element of real numbers, but y is not equal to 0, because remember it can't be equal to this x-axis. So y is an element of real numbers, but y is not equal to 0. You can write it like this, or you can write it in interval notation. Y is an element from negative infinity to 0, union 0 to infinity. Union means O. So I hope you understand that. You can write it in this first method or second method. Remember, it can't be equal to the asymptote. 5.6. Calculate the values of k so that h of x equals negative 2x plus k will not intersect the graph of g. Right, so now we need to think about this question here, because it's more like a level 4 type question. So let me take this graph to explain this. Where is negative 2x? What is negative 2x? Negative 2x is a straight line, okay? Negative 2x plus k will not intersect the graph of g. The graph of g is a hyperbola. So this is, so let's take this graph as a negative 2x graph, right? We have to sketch the graph of h of x. So the h of x graph can be anything like this, right? So h of x graph is a downward sloping line. So I made k value 0. So I'm going through the, this is a possible graph of h of x. Now there are many possible graphs. So I'm going to draw graphs which is parallel, right? I'm going to draw graphs which is parallel to the, so we want the value of k which is from here to there. We are looking for these values that will not cut the graph. So remember, at this point it cuts, at this point it cuts. So we are looking for this value of k so that it doesn't intersect the graph of g. Right, so how we're going to solve this is by taking, how should we solve this? Good question. These are the possible graphs of h. Right, so what if I work out the points of intersection when it will actually intersect? So h of x will not intersect the graph of g. Let me find the values of k that it will actually intersect, and then I can say not intersect at different points. So let's say minus 2x plus k, which is h of x. I'm equating h of x to g of x, right? H of x is minus 2x plus k is equal to g of x is 8 over x. I'm going to multiply this entire equation by x. So we got minus 2x squared plus 8k, and bring the 8 over, is equal to 0. I hope you understood this. Minus 2x squared plus 8k, no, we're multiplying this entire equation by, mistake, right? So we're multiplying this entire equation by x. So we're getting plus kx is equal to 8. Remember, x is not equal to 0. Right, taking the 8 over, we got minus 2x squared plus kx minus 8 is equal to 0. Write it in standard form. 2x squared minus kx plus 8 is equal to 0. Okay, so when will it not intersect? It will intersect, I think we can use delta here. If delta is equal to 0, then you have equal roots, isn't? So that's what we're looking for. Points of intersection. We're looking for a solution, alright? If delta is equal to 0 of this function, then you have equal roots. We're not looking for that. We're looking for delta when it is less than 0, then it will not intersect. So we're kind of looking for delta less than 0, then non-real roots. In other words, these you won't have a point of intersection, non-real roots. Right, so let's see. What's delta? B squared minus 4ac is less than 0. So b squared is minus k all squared minus 4, a is 2, and c is 8, less than 0. So you got k squared minus 8 times 8, 64 is less than 0. So you got k plus 8, k minus 8 less than 0. So we can solve this problem using quadratic inequalities, number line minus 8 to 8, plus minus plus, choose any value after 10, 8, 10, positive, positive, so that's a positive, alternate the sign because these are linear factors. So what answer we have? We're looking for a negative answer. So from minus 8 to 8, looking at from minus 8 to 8. So what are the values? Minus 8 to 8. Okay, maybe I drew this incorrectly because it should be the value coordinates of C is higher up. Yeah, so basically my straight line should have drawn it like this, intersecting higher up, because remember this is graph. Yeah, it should kind of be like intersecting there. So this is more like a straight line graph, which is, I'm just trying to get that parallel. So to get all the right, so we were basically looking for the values. Yeah, so this was more like a nature of roots question, right? So it will not intersect the graph of G. Yeah, so from minus 8 to 8. Now you can try substituting minus 8 inside here. If I substitute the value of k, which is minus 8, value of k, which is minus 8 in here, then I'm going to end up having a point of intersection. We wanted the values of k. Sorry, this is values of k. Why did I write values of x? This is values of k. Yeah, so I'm going to stop there. That's your basically your answer. So try to use nature of roots. 5.7. Again, that was a difficult question, guys. 5.6. Right, let's look at 5.7. Yeah, you have to have like 15% difficult questions in your final exam according to Department of Basic Education laws, because of cognitive levels. You get level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 types question has to be about 15% of the paper. Let's look at the next question. H is a tangent to G at R. Alright, so we're trying to find the equation of the tangent line. So let me try to make sense of this problem. Again, we got a tangent to G. Why not F? Why are we not working with the F? They only want to work out. So we are working with the G of X. H is a graph which is a tangent to G at R, a point in the first quadrant. So there's a tangent line here. So that's, I can only have a decreasing. So that's basically what my thought. This is a tangent line, is tangent to this graph G. Calculate T such that y equals f of x plus t. Y equals f of x plus t intersects G at R. So that's the coordinates of R. Okay, first we need to find what is f of x plus t now. F of x plus t. and it intersects G at R. So you can have two equations of tangent lines. G at R. H is a tangent to G at R, a point in the first quadrant. Calculate T such that, alright, so I'm going to readjust my line. That's not the tangent line. It needs to intersect the graph of, calculate T such that f of x plus t intersects G at R. These are all tangent lines, okay? Alright, so I need to take this out. So, okay, no, let's keep that line there to make sense of it. Now, what is f of x plus t? Y equals f of x plus t is y equals, what's f of x? F of x is minus half into x minus 1 all squared plus 8 plus t. Calculate t such that y equals f of x plus t intersects G at R. Okay, if I open up this entire equation, I've got minus half into x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus 8 plus t minus half x squared minus half, that's plus x, minus half plus 8, that is plus 15 over 2 plus t. Now this one here needs to be equal to, H is a tangent to G at R. So this is a coordinate, this is R, right? That's point R. In the first quadrant, calculate T such that y equals f of x plus t intersects G at R. Intersects G at R. So we want to find the tangent line. I'm going to try to draw more tangents here. You can have multiple tangents, a tangent line like this, or you can have a tangent line like this. Yeah, so I'm trying to get a tangent at B. Right, so these are the many different types of tangents you want. Tangents to G. I think you have to go and find the points of intersection. Let's find intersects G at R. It also intersects G. So we're going to say minus half x squared plus x plus 15 over 2 plus t is equal to 8 over x, which is g of x. I'm trying to find the point of contact. Should we find the point of contact here? H is a tangent to G at R, a point in the first quadrant. Calculate T such that f of x plus t intersects G at R. Right, so we basically trying to find the values of t here, this one and this one. So it should be working with values from 0. Should it be from 0 to 8? Because it says 8 plus t. Remember, 8 is the maximum. Just trying to make sense of this problem. Is there any other way of solving this? Right, so guys, I'm just going to pause the video and try to figure this out because I don't want to waste your time. Alright guys, welcome back. Just a problem here because we didn't read the question properly. Missed out some information. So basically what you need to do here is remember, h is a tangent. What is h? H is basically this graph here, minus 2x plus k. The graph of h is equal to minus 2x plus k. Right, now we are interested in this minus 2, so I'm going to take this out, right, those lines. Now we need to apply some calculus here because okay, what we did here is fine. We need to apply some calculus here and say that h is a tangent to g at r. So if it's a tangent to g at r, how do you get this point? Because we already got the equation of the tangent line. That's the thing. Equation of the tangent line is already given. Since the equation of the tangent line is already given, how did you get that minus 2? You need to say f prime x, right? So that's what you need to use. So what is g prime? What was g of x? That's 8 over x. So we're going to rewrite this as 8x to the power minus 1. So g prime x will be minus 8x to the power negative minus 8x to the power negative 2. Alright? Minus 8x to the power negative 2. So we have minus 8 over x squared. Now you see this minus 8 over x squared. We need to equate it to minus 2 because that's how we get the gradient. So minus 8 over x squared is equal to negative 2. We're going to cross multiply. So we're getting negative 2x squared is equal to negative 8. This implies x squared is equal to 4. So x is equal to plus or minus 2. You can't choose negative 2, therefore x is equal to 2 only. Now if you substitute 2 inside here, you see you're getting a gradient which is minus 8 over 4, which is minus 2. So x is equal to 2. We got an answer which is x is equal to 2. Right, so since we have an answer which is x is equal to 2, that's going to help us because that's the coordinates of r, that's the value at r, okay? X is equal to 2. And what's the value if x is equal to 2? What's the y value? It lies on g, and g is 8 over x. So the coordinates of r is 2 and 4. How did we get 4? Y is equal to 8 over x, 8 over 2, which is equal to 4. Right, so now we have r which is 2 and 4. Now we need to find the value of t. So we're going to substitute inside here, which we expanded. Lucky we expanded that. And we're going to write down 2 and 4 at r, which is 2 and 4. Right, so the value of y is 4, minus half into 2 squared plus 2 plus 7.5 plus t. So this implies the value of t is equal to, let's write it out like this, quite difficult guys, right? So 4 is equal to, so we got minus half times 4, which is minus 2 plus 2 plus 7.5 plus t. So what's the answer for t? T is equal to minus 2 plus 2 cancels out. We got 4 minus 7.5, which is minus 3,5. I hope you guys understand this. Now moving on to question 6, which is a financial maths problem, as we have here. We want to calculate the value of R. Let's see. Patrick deposited an amount of 18,500 into an account earning R% interest per annum compounded monthly. Now because it's compounded monthly, so he deposited some amount. So we have a formula A equals P into 1 plus I to the power n. After 6 months his balance was, so after 6 months, remember the interest rate and the n must correlate. So if this is in years, that must be in years. If this is in months, that must be in months. So what we have here is A equals, his balance was, so the accumulated value, calculate the value of R. So he deposited an amount of 18,500. So 18,500 that he deposited was 1 plus R over 1200, right? Because then I will get R in percentage one time, to the power 6. It should be to the power 1, should be to the power half. 6 months is equal to 19,319,48. Yes, so it's going to be to the power what? It should be to the power 6 out of 12, right? Because n is 6 months will be, yeah, to the power 12 times 6 months is half a year. So 6 months becomes half a year. The reason why it's to the power 12 because of this formula, I over P to the power P times T. That's your accumulation factor. Example, if you have n here, if you have the compounding period as m, it's going to be m times n, where n is the number of years. Okay, so this is right. So it should be to the power 6. So 19,319.48 divided by 18,500 is going to be 1 plus R over 1200 to the power 6. As I said, this must correlate. So if this is in months, that must be in months. So we got 6 months here is equal to, we're going to divide both and take more decimals. 19,319.48. We're going to divide it by 18,500 and we're going to get an answer of 1.044. Let me just copy this. Right, so right, so I get an answer of 1.044, right? Now I'm going to take the 6th root, or raise both sides to the power 1 over 6. So raise this side to the power 1 over 6 and raise this side to the power 1 over 6. After I raise it to the power 1 over 6, I'm going to subtract 1 and then multiply by 1200 because I know that is out. So R over 1200 is equal to this whole answer here, which is, let's put it, and then I need to minus 1. So let's take this answer and raise it to the power 1 over 6. Right, so I've got this answer here. So I've got this answer, right, and I'm going to minus 1. So I've got 7.25 and then multiply by 1200. So R is equal to 1200 into 1.00725 minus 1. And what's my answer for R? Remember, I minus 1 already. Now I'm going to multiply by 1200. So I'll get approximately 8.7%. So what's the value of R? Calculate the value of R, 8.7 percent per annum compounded monthly. I hope you guys understand that, how to solve an equation. You can go and type this entire thing out in the calculator as is from the first line, and let's see if you get the same answer. So 18,500 into 1 plus put alpha x over 1200, remember to the power 6, put alpha equals 19,319.48 and press shift solve for x. I'm getting 8.7. perfect. So you can even do that. You can just go directly from that step to that step, and I hope you should get full marks, because you get marks for substituting here. Anyways, solving the next question. Calculate the effective interest rate. So what's the yearly interest rate? The yearly interest rate is this. Remember, we've got a compounded interest rate, so now you're going to get a yearly interest rate. So remember, we have 8.7% per annum compounded monthly to I% per annum. That's what we want basically. We want an interest rate which is per annum to be converted to per annum compounded monthly. Switch it around. So this is going to be 1 plus I over 100, right, to the power 1, because yearly, is equal to 1 plus 8.7 over 1200 to the power 12. So it's easy now, minus 1 and multiply by 100. So we're going to take this minus 1, right, and then multiply by 100. So we're going to take 100 into 1 plus 8.7 over 1200 to the power 12 minus 1. Okay, so we're subtracting 1, then multiplying by 100. Let's put this into the calculator, into 1 plus 8.7 over 1200 to the power 12 minus, okay, so minus 1, you need to put it in brackets. Remember, the other one is not in bracket, another bracket here, right? So to the power 12 minus 1 and then multiply by 100. I'm getting 9.06% per annum. So that's the value of I. That's my effective interest rate, and that's my nominal interest rate, 8.7%. I hope you guys understand. Next one, I hope it's annuities. Question 6.2. Right, so Kuda bought a laptop for 10,000 rands on 31st January 2019. He will replace it with a new one in 5 years time on 31st January 2024. The value of the old laptop depreciates annually at a rate of 20% per annum according to the straight line method. After how many years will the laptop have a value of 0? Depreciates according to a straight line method. So that's basically depreciation on cost. So A equals P into 1 minus IN, right? And we know the accumulated value needs to be 0, right? It needs to have a scrap value of 0. So he bought the laptop for 10,000, right? Into 1 minus, what's the interest rate? 20%. So 20 over 100 times times n, because we don't know after how many years will it have a value of 0, right? So basically you're doing a thing like this. If you're trying to observe a graph, right? If you think about the graph, doing a thing like this, right? So you start at 10,000. Remember, this is n and that's p. The value keeps on decreasing until it hits 0. So you're kind of finding the x-intercept, right? So we can divide both sides by 10,000. So we just have 1 minus 0 comma 2n is equal to 0. So 0 comma 2n is equal to 1, right? Negative, negative. So n is equal to, take 1 divided by 0 comma 2, 1 divided by 0.2, you should get an answer of 5 after 5 years. He will replace it with a new one in 5 years time, right? So after 5 years it will have a scrap value of 0. Moving on to the next question. Six point 2.2. Let's see. So Kuda will buy a laptop that costs 20,000 in order to cover the cost price. He made his first installment. He made his first monthly deposit into a savings account on 28th February 2019, so 1 month after. He will make his 60th monthly deposit on 31st January 2024. The savings account pays interest at, so we need to draw a number line to see what's happening here. Timeline. Right, so what's happening here is Kuda will buy the laptop that costs 20,000 in order to cover the cost price. He made his first monthly deposit into a savings account on 28th February 2019. This here looks like a separate question from 6.2. Calculate Kuda's monthly deposit into this account. Okay, he will buy a laptop that costs 20,000, right? In order to cover the cost price, he made his first monthly deposit into a savings account on 28th. When will he buy this laptop? He will buy the laptop at the end. In order to cover the cost price, he made his first monthly deposit into a savings account on 28th February 2019. So this is 31st January, right? That's 0, that's 1. This here corresponds to 28th Feb 2019. 28th Feb 19, and carries on making deposit on the second month and so on right up till 60 for 5 years, and that's when he will buy the laptop, after he makes his 60th deposit. So that will cost 31st January 2024. The savings account pays interest at 8.7%. So interest is 8.7% per annum compounded monthly. Calculate Kuda's monthly deposit into this account. So we want to solve for x, so make sure to use the future value annuity formula. Right, so F equals accumulated value, or use the future value annuity formula. F equals future value annuity formula is x into 1 plus I to the power n minus 1 divided by I. Right, so we want to solve for x. We got 1 plus 8.7 over 1200 to the power 60, right, because there's 60 months, minus 1 divided by 8.7 over 1200, and that is now equal to what, 20,000, because he wants to buy the laptop for 20,000. Calculate Kuda's monthly deposit into this account. Right, so now to calculate this, we're gonna cross multiply these two and divide it by this. So x is equal to, we're gonna take 20,000, right? We're gonna take 20,000, right? We're gonna multiply it by 8.7 over 1200. Alright, and divided by, we're going to divide it by all of this. Right, so you don't need the bracket here. And let's see what answer we get. Or you can just type the equation as is and press shift solve. Right, so now to solve this problem, we're going to say 20,000 times 8.7 over 1200 divided by 1 plus 8.7 over 1200, right, to the power 60, and they're going to subtract 1. So what we get, 267.26 rands per month. Right, that's the amount that he needs to invest per month to make up to buy this laptop at this interest rate. I hope you guys understand. Next question. Right, so far the financial math section wasn't so bad. It was just straightforward problems. Right, so Tino wins a jackpot of 1.6 million. He invests all his winnings in a fund that earns interest at 11.2% per annum compounded monthly. Right, so there's an investment of 1.6 million. You can write it as times 10 to the power 6, right? Interest is 11.2%. Remember, if he invests that, interest is 11.2% per annum compounded monthly. He withdraws 20,000 from the fund at the end of each month. So withdraws 20k here, 20k here. The reason why I use upward arrow because you're receiving money, downward arrow because you're investing money, right? Carries on doing so. His first withdrawal is exactly 1 month after the initial investment. There's it here. How many withdrawals of 20,000 will Tino be able to make from this fund? How many withdrawals can he make? So there's n withdrawals, right? Until, yes, how many withdrawals can he make at 11.2% per annum compounded monthly? Now, solving this problem, we have, suppose he makes n withdrawals, right? So remember, suppose he makes n withdrawals. So we need to say use a present value annuity formula, which is x into 1 minus 1 plus I to the power negative n all over I. Now we know the present value annuity is 1.6 million, 1,600,000. Monthly withdrawal is 20,000 into 1 minus 1 plus 11.2 over 1200 to the power negative n all over I, which is 11.2 over 1200. Now because we're solving for n, we probably need to use logs, and looks like we have to take out 4 zeros here and 4 zeros there. Why we take out the 4 zeros? Because we're dividing it by 20,000 on both sides. Let's see. Alright, let's divide it and then multiply by this. See what we need to do? 1,600,000 divided by 20,000 and multiplied by 11.2 over 1200, so we can get a number on this side. 1 minus 1 plus 11.2 over 1200 to the power negative n. Alright, so I hope you guys are understanding what we are doing here. Right, so what we have here is we can take out 4 zeros and 4 zeros, and we can take out a 0 here and a 0 there. So all we have is 16 over 2 is 8 times 11.2 over 12. So I'm just going to do 8 times 11.2 over 12, see what answer I get. 8 times 11.2 over 12, or you can just type the entire thing as is, over 120. I'm getting 56 over 75. I'll keep the answer as a fraction, equals 1 minus the same thing, 1 plus 11.2 over 1200 to the power negative n. Now I'll take this entire thing on the other side, entire factor, 1 plus 11.2 over, and I'll keep the 1 as is, and minus 56 over 75. So I'll take 1 minus the answer I've got. I'm getting 19 over 75, right? 1 plus 11.2 over 1200 to the power negative n. So I'm going to say negative n equals, now obviously I'm going to get negative n equals, so just multiply both sides by negative. So you say negative, I put a log 19 over 75 base 1 plus 11.2 over 1200. That should be 11.2. So watch I do this. So n is equal to log not that log, this log here. So 1 plus 11.2 over 1200, and on the other side was just the answer. So I'm getting 147.7978 So that's what I'm getting. Don't forget to put a negative in the front. Now I need to change this. 19 over 75. I had 19 over 75. So I've got 147.79 and something, right? So basically you can just write, you always need to round up, so approximately 148 payments, right? So you can say how many withdrawals will Tino be able to make from this fund. So you need to say 147 full withdrawals of 20,000 rands each, and one final withdrawal less than 20,000, right? It has to be less than 20,000. And by the way, if you want to find what that final withdrawal amount is, then how are you going to solve that? What's the final withdrawal amount? Remember, you have a timeline like this, so I'm adding an additional question to find the final payment. So additional question to find the final payment, okay? Because remember what we said, we said final payment is less than 20,000, so let's find it. So here's my timeline. Try to understand the timeline, right? So we know there's full payments, 147 full payments here, right? And this payment is less than 20,000 as we said, right? So we should put 147 here and 148 here. Now if you want the final payment, you're going to say 20,000 one second, need a formula. So you're going to say x into 1 minus 1 plus I to the power negative decimal divided by I into 1 plus I, right? Now x is 20,000 into 1 minus 1 plus 11.2 over 1200 to the power negative 0 comma, what's the decimal? The decimal part is 0 comma 7978688, 0 comma 7978 7978 688. Divided by the interest rate, which is 11.2 over 1200, and then multiplied by this interest factor here. Multiplied by 1 plus 11.2 over 1200. Now let's solve. Basically, if you work this, that gives you an outstanding balance at 147, and you have to accumulate for one more month to to get the actual value less than 20,000. So let's type all this out in the calculator. So we got 20,000, and in the denominator we got 11.2 over 1200. Let's go back to the numerator. Double bracket, no need for double bracket, a single. 1 minus, open bracket, 1 plus 11.2 over 1200 to the power negative 0.797888. Close the bracket, right, and then open another bracket, 1 plus 11.2 over 1200. Okay, and we should get the answer 15,972.34. Right, that's the final payment amount. Or is there another way to work it out? Yes, there is. You can call the final payment Y. Present value all these 147 payments, so it's going to come there and equate it to 1.6 million. So you're going to be solving this equation. 1.6 million, I'm going to write it times 10 to the power 6 equals 20,000 into 1 minus 1 plus 11.2 over 1200 to the power negative 147 divided by 11.2 over 1200 plus Y. I'm splitting up the payment, so 1 plus 11.2 over 1200 to the power negative 148. So now I can solve for Y. Right, so let's solve this. So Y is equal to, I'm just going to do it one time on the calculator. I'm going to take this and minus all of this and then divide it by this answer here. So just follow through. So I'm taking 1.6 million times 10 to the power 6 minus 20,000 over, remember that's 11.2 over 1200 back onto the numerator into 1 minus 1 plus 11.2 over 1200 to the power negative 147. So I get first part of the answer. Right, so I've got this answer here, this minus this. Now I need to divide it by this entire thing here, that factor there. So answer divided by 1 plus 11.2 over 1200. I didn't type it right. Put 1 plus, yep, and so far so good, to the power negative 148. And see, we get the same answer, 15,972.34. 15,972.3435 is negligible, right? I think we should have took more decimals here. Yeah, we're getting 0.35 here. Yeah, so we get the exact same answer. So these are the two ways of finding final payment. I hope you guys understand. Now moving on to the next question. Question 7, we applying first principles here. So to solve first principles, we can write down f prime x is equal to the formula limit as h approaches 0 f of x plus h minus f of x. So what I have done is, you know, you have all over h in your formula. I just took out the 1 over h outside. so I don't have to keep on ruling off and solving. So what's f of x plus h? Minus 4 into x plus h all squared minus minus 4x squared. Right, so I'm minusing f of x, which is minus 4x squared, close limit as h approaches 0 of 1 over h. If I open this up, I'm getting minus 4 x squared plus 2xh plus h squared, squaring a binomial, plus 4x squared. Now if I open up the entire thing, I will get 1 over h into negative 4x squared, negative xh, negative 4h squared plus 4x squared. Now you can clearly see that minus 4x squared and 4x squared cancels out, and now we can take out h as a common factor as well. So we're going to say limit as h approaches 0 of 1 over h times h. I'm taking out the h from here, left with minus 8x minus 4h. Now I can cancel out the h and the h and substitute 0 for h. So I can write one more step here, limit as h approaches 0 of negative 8x minus 4h. What's the answer? Negative 8x. I hope you guys understood this. And if you differentiate this, you do get negative 8x by using rules. Moving on to the next question, applying derivative rules. Alright, to solve the first problem is already in power form. Right, so to find f prime x, alright, to find f prime x, 3 times 2 is 6, take away 1 from the power, x squared, and then 1 times minus 3 is minus 3, take away 1 from the power, out, x to the power 0 is 1. That's my answer. Simplifying the next one, remember the third rule, inside over outside, dx into 7x to the power 2/3. How I got 2/3? 2 is inside, that's outside, inside over outside, plus 2x to the power negative 5. Now when you differentiate, drop the dx. 7 times 2/3, that's 7 times 2 is 14 over 3. X to the power negative 1/3, because take away 1 from the power. 2 times minus 5 is minus 10. X to the power negative 6, taking away 1 from the power. So final answer is 14 over 3, writing in positive exponents, minus 10 x to the power 6. I hope you guys understood that. Yeah, so next problem. For which values of x will the tangent to thus have a positive gradient? Positive gradient is f prime x greater than 0. So we're going to find f prime x first. So that gives me 3 times minus 2 minus 6 x squared, taking away 1 from the power, plus 8 is greater than 0. We want a positive gradient, so how are we going to solve this? This will give us a quadratic inequality. For which values of x, value or values of x, will the tangent have a positive gradient? So we got minus 6x squared plus 8. So we're going to write this as 3x squared minus 4, dividing everything by negative 2, change the sign. And then we can simplify this, difference of two squares, right? So root 3x plus 2 into root 3x minus 2 is less than 0, and then putting it on to the number line, we get negative 2/3, we get negative 2 root 3, negative 2 over root 3, and positive 2 over square root of 3. Taking any value after 10 and substituting into x, you get positive, then negative, then a positive. And we want a positive gradient, So the answer is less than negative 2 over 3. So we could have also thought about the the cubic function. So the cubic function goes like this. So the positive gradient will be in between this one and this one. Yeah, so we do have the correct answer. So it's from -2. So -2 over 3 to 2 over 3. So -2 over 3 to 2 over 3. So the answer for x is between -2 over 3 and 3. Because the equation for the cubic function is, since the value of a is negative, I drew it like this. The minimum value here, you can solve this equation equal to 0 and then look at the minimum and the maximum value. The value is 2 over root 3 here, and there's 2 over root 3 there. So square root of 3, square root of 3. Don't forget the root 3's. So there's 2 over root 3, and there's positive 2 over root 3. I hope you guys understood that. Next question. Right, so we have a full cubic function, right? Now, what's important is whenever there's a square, whenever there's a repeated root, we definitely know there's one turning point at x equals to 1. X equals to 1 has a turning point, so we just need to find the other one. Let's look at this. So we're going to find f prime x because we want the coordinates of the turning points of f. Right, and we know this is a cubic function, negative cubic function, so we're looking for these turning points here, one there, one there. Right, so f prime x is equal to negative 3x squared plus 12x minus 9, set it equal to 0. Then we have 3x squared, divide everything by negative 3. So if I divide everything by negative 3, I'm getting x squared minus 4x plus 3 is equal to 0. So you got x minus 3, x minus 1 is equal to 0. And then x is equal to 3 or x is equal to 1. As I promised, we said whenever there is a repeated root, there is a turning point on that x-axis. So 1. So what will the y value be? It has to be 0. If I substitute 1 inside here, you have minus 1 plus 6. That is 5. And minus 9 plus 4 is minus 5. 5 minus 5 is 0. So definitely 0 there. And the y value here is, what's the y value when you substitute 3? So if I substitute 3, I'm getting minus 27 because 3 cubed. So minus 27, 6 times plus 6 times 9 minus 9 times 3. 9 times minus 9 times 3, and then plus 4. So I've got 4. This answer here is 4. Right, so perfect. So what are the turning points? So you can say minimum at, where's the minimum? 1 0, and max at 3 and 4. So there's a maximum at 3 and 4, minimum at 1 0. These are my turning points. Next one, draw a graph. Right, so let's draw a sketch graph. So I'm going to draw this graph here. So we know at 1 and 0, there was a minimum, right? So it goes like this. we know the shape of the graph. There's a minimum at, and what's the x-intercepts? X-intercepts are 4 and 1. 4 and 1 is the x-intercept. So if you're thinking about this graph, there's 1 here, there's a value 3, so the next intercept will occur here, and the y-intercept is somewhere around there, which is 4. See there? The value of 4 is a y-intercept. So I've got my graph. Y-intercept is 4, that's 3, and that's 4. Right, so I've got my graph, that's 2 here, right? So my graph is coming from the top, turning right there. Next turning point is at 3 and 4. Right, and 3 and 4, that's 1 and 0. Yep, and that's my graph. That's the x-axis, that's the y-axis, and that's the graph of f. The graph of f. Yes. Next question. Use the graph to determine the values of k for which it will have 3 real and unequal roots. So basically real and unequal means distinct roots. Alright, so let's use this graph. Let's take this graph down here. So is this function f of x equal to k? Is this f of x? Yes, it is. It is f of x equal to k. It's not funny function. Minus x cubed plus 6x squared minus 9x plus 4. Yes. So it is f of x equal to k. So when will it have 3 real and unequal roots? So when we're cutting through here, so we got equal roots here, but we want distinct roots, okay? So it looks like we have to cut between the turning points. So between 0, now we're looking at y values, right? So this is 1 and 0. So between 0 and just 1 second, I want to check if this value was 4 there. Yeah, I think it is 4. Alright, so between 0 and 4, so the values of k is between 0 to 4. If you cut anywhere between 0 and 4, but not at 0 itself and not at 4 itself, so you will get 3 real and unequal roots. But if you include here, you might get equal roots. So that's the reason why we don't include the turning point y values. So remember to look at TPY values. TPY values for these types of questions. TPY values. All right, moving on to the next question. The line g of x, which is ax plus b, is tangent to f at the point of inflection. Determine the equation of g. A simple question, because even though it's 6 marks, remember you want to find the equation of the tangent line at the point of inflection. Now the point of inflection is somewhere around here. It's somewhere around here, okay, and that value is just like we don't know whether if it is 2 or it is 2, and let's just check up. Okay, yeah, by the way, I think it is 2, because 3 plus 1 divided by 2, so it occurs at 2 point of inflection. Let's move this. Obviously my diagram wasn't drawn to scale, right? So we're going to find f double prime x and set it equal to 0. So f double prime x is going to be, we're finding the x value of the point of inflection. Determine the coordinates of the turning points f prime x. Where was f prime x? F prime x was minus 3x squared plus 12x minus 9. So minus 6x plus 12 equals 0. This implies x is equal to 2, because you can take the 12 over minus 12 divided by minus 6. Since x is equal to 2, we're going to find f of 2, which is a y value of the inflection point. So we need to put 2 inside the original function. Let's put 2 here. So what we're getting is minus 8. So we're getting minus 8. 6 times 2 squared, 6 times 4, plus 24. Minus 9 times 2, minus 18, plus 4. So I get an answer which is 2. 2 and 2. Perfect. So this is a point of contact, right, which is 2 and 2, because the tangent line is right here at the point of inflection. Determine the equation of G. Now remember, if you want to find the gradient, you need to find the gradient is the derivative function, because that represents the slope. You need to find it at 2, f prime 2. Now f prime 2 will give me the gradient. What's the gradient here? Minus 3 into 2 squared. So minus 3 into 2 squared plus 12 into 2 minus 9. Let's just check this up. Plus 12 into 2 minus 9, right? So we have this. Now simplifying this, we have minus 3 times 4, which is minus 12, minus 12 plus 24 minus 9. So I've got 3, right? So I've got gradient which is 3. So we're going to use y minus y1, y minus 2 equals m, which is 3, into x minus x1, which is 2. So I'm using this formula, y minus y1 equals m to x minus x1. The gradient is 3, point of contact is 2, 2, so that becomes x1, y1. Alright, so I'm using this formula at 2, 2. Now, so y is equal to 3x minus 6 plus 2. So therefore y is equal to 3x minus 4. I hope you guys understood that. And if we observe the graph and try to put the equation of the tangent line at the point of contact, you'll find that the line can only be upward sloping. See there? See, the line is only upward sloping, so it has to be positive slope. Determine the equation of G. So what is G of x? Therefore G of x is equal to y, which is 3x minus 4. So you don't have to say is equal to y. Take that out. So therefore G of x is 3x minus 4. Continuing on to the next question. Calculate the value of theta, the acute angle formed between G and the x-axis in the first quadrant. What is this? Tan theta equals m. So there's an angle theta you want to find, okay? Between the x-axis. So this is more like inclination angle. So you're going to write tan theta equals m. Tan theta equals, what's m? 3. So theta equals tan inverse 3, which is equal to, what's tan inverse 3? Shift tan 3. That's 71,57 degrees. 71,57 degrees. I hope you guys understood that. Right. Next question. Question 9, maximization problem. Let's have a look at this. The diagram below represents the printed poster ABCD, right? Rectangle. ABCD is the part on which the text is printed. The shaded area ABCD is 432 cm squared, and AD is X. AD is equal to X, right? ABCD is 4 centimeters from the left and right edges of the page, and 3 centimeters from the top and bottom. Now if you observe this, this is X, right? This is 4 and this is 4. The middle distance is X. If you add up this side and this side, so it's just going to become X plus 8, right? The shaded area is 432 centimeters squared. So this is basically the given information. Yeah, so we know the shaded area is, so that's like a constraint. Shaded area is 432, so we can say X times Y, make this Y. So if this is Y, you've got coming down 3 and coming down 3, so this entire distance is Y plus 6. Show that the total area of the page is given by, what's the area of the page? So area is equal to X times Y, right? Where's the page? Show that the total area of the page is given by. Alright, so what we have at the moment is, let's look at the first restriction. We got 432 here, so the area of, so area is equal to X times Y, which is equal to 432, right? We got 432 here, so Y is equal to 432 over X. Now the area of this entire thing here, because this is where the text is printed, rectangle ABCD is part on which the text is printed, right? And this is the entire page. So the area of the page is equal to, this is area of the text and this is the area of the page. Now the area of the page is equal to X plus 8 into Y plus 6. Now what we know Y to be, so if you multiply this entire thing out, you're going to get XY plus, we're going to get XY plus X times 6, 6X plus 8Y plus 48. Okay, and what we know Y to be, we know Y is what is Y? Y is 432 over X. Y is equal to 432 over X. What's Y? 432 over X plus 48. So what we know is that the x and the x cancel out. 432 plus 48 should get 480. We can see we got 6x, we got 480. So the area in terms of x is now equal to 8 times 432. You should get 3456 over x. Let's check that out. 8 times 432, 3456. Right, perfect. Everything works out. Moving on to the next one. Determine the value of x for which the page is the minimum, right? So we want to find the value of x. So we can't really differentiate this. We need it in standard form, power form. So we got 3, 4, 5, 6, x to the power -1 plus 6x plus 480. If we find the derivative, we're getting -3, 4, 5, 6, x to the power -2 plus 6 is equal to 0. Now we're going to multiply this entire equation. We're going to divide this into, let's write it in standard form first. Actually divide everything by -6. No, not really. We can just do this. Take the 6 over. We're getting -6. Over here we got 3, 4, 5, 6 over x squared negative. Cross multiply. You got 6x squared equals 3, 4, 5, 6. Can I take 3, 4, 5, 6 and divide it by 6? 3, 4, 5, 6 divided by 6. 576. So it does work out. You can square root both sides. Square root 576. We get 24. 24 centimeters. What was this in? Yeah, 24 centimeters. Since x is greater than 0. So we're supposed to be saying x is equal to plus minus 24, but we can't take the negative answer because we are working with a distance, right? So x is equal to 24 centimeters is the correct answer. Such that the total area of the page is a minimum. So I hope you guys understood that. Next one, question 10. A and B are the independent events and probability of B equals 3/4. Determine probability of A and B. Now probability of A and B is probability of A times the probability of B. That's what independent means. The intersection becomes a product. Remember, this is an intersection. So probability of A is 1/3 times 3/4. 3 and 3 cancels out, you got a quarter. That's your answer. Probability of at least one event occurs. At least one event occurs is probability of A or B. That's what we're trying to find. So this is equal to the probability of A plus the probability of B minus the probability of the intersection A and B. At least one event occurs, either A occurs or B occurs or both occurs, right? So that's what you're looking for. Probability of A is 1/3 plus a quarter plus 3/4 plus 3/4 minus a quarter. You can see 3/4 minus quarter, that is A and B is already quarter, we worked it out. So 1/3 plus a half. Right, 1/3 plus a half, you're going to get 2 plus 3 over 6, which is 5 over 6. I hope you guys understood that. Moving on to the next question. I think this should be fine. Yeah, you can add 1/3 and a half. 1/3 is 2 out of 6. A half is 3 out of 6. So 2 plus 3 out of 6, 5 out of 6. We should be good. The next question. 10.2. The probability that it will snow on the Drakensberg mountain in June is 5%. So it snows in June, alright, in Drakensberg is 5%. It snows with probability 5% and it does not snow with probability. So we're going to use, let's see, when it snows on the mountain, the probability that when it snows, so this is some kind of given condition. When it snows with what? 5% probability. When it snows on the mountain, the probability that the minimum temperature in central South Africa will drop below zero, dropping below zero, we can use the symbol D for a drop below zero is 72%. And if it does not drop below zero, then it's 28%, right? It snows and it does not snow, right? 95% does not drop, right? Next one. If it does snow on the mountains, the probability that the minimum temperature, if it does not snow on the mountains, so it does not snow is here, the probability that the minimum temperature in central South Africa will drop below zero, probability of drop below zero will now be that it drops below zero. Thus does not drop and thus drops. It drops below zero will be 35%. So if this is 35%, then does not drop will be 65. Not 0.35%, sorry, 35%. Right, so that's my Venn diagram. S represents snow and D represents drop below zero. At degrees Celsius. Right. Now let's read the next question. So that's my represents the given information on a tree diagram, clearly indicate the probabilities associated with each branch. So each branch. They didn't ask for the outcomes and stuff, right? 10.2.2. Calculate the probability that the temperature in central South Africa will not drop below zero. So will not drop below zero is here. We want this one and we want that one. So we'll follow the path. So the probability will be S and D, so 5%. So 5 over 100 times D 28 over 100, or 95 over 100 times 65 over 100. So you follow the path of this tree because that's what we want. We want the final. So 5% times 28%, 95% times 65%, and we should get an answer. Calculate the probability. Just write P equals, right? So what we have, 5 times 28 plus, remember everything is over 10,000 because 100 times 100, plus 95 times 65. I'm getting 6315 over 10,000, which is 63,15%, or you can say 0,6315. That's my probability. And by the way, what is that divided by 10,000? If I work out the probability as a, you can leave your answer like this as well. So I will just write it as a percentage since everything was given as a percentage. Moving on to the next question. 10.3, 10 learners stand randomly in a line, one behind the other. In how many different ways can the 10 learners stand in the line? So since you're lining up 10 learners, it's just going to be 10 factorial. So with the factorial, where's the factorial? There's it here. 10 factorial is 362, 3,628,800. 3,628,800. Yes. Let's look at the last question. Calculate the probability that there will be 5 learners between the 2 youngest learners in the line. So we got 2 young learners, right? Looks like a difficult problem. And we got 5 learners in between. 5 in between. How can we solve this? If we use counting principles, look at the number of options here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now since we have 5 plus 2, we just have 7. We're going to have 3 occupied spaces here. Maybe we can group them up as an entity and take that entity and move them around into the different positions, right? So 2 young learners, so either just call them A and B, right? Either A can be here or B can be there, right? So there's 2 options here. Now 5 will give 5 learners going to be in between. Now because they're going to be in between, obviously the last one is just going to be 1, because I'm putting the young learners there, A and B. So suppose A is here and B is placed at the end, right? A is here, B is placed at the end. Now how many learners I've got altogether? I've got 10 learners altogether, so I used up 2, right? So now I've got learners like this. I've got 8, 7, 6, 5 and 4, right? But now I've got 10 positions to occupy, so we can group this entire thing, counting principle method, right, as one entity and move them around. 1, 2, 3, right? So they can be in different positions as well. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So my number of ways, basically the event of this year happening, is going to be 2 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 1 times 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're grouping them around, take them as an entity, times 4 factorial. So let's see what answer I got here now. 2 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 1 and times further 4 factorial. I've got an answer of 322,560. Right, so my probability is going to be 322,560 divided by the total outcome, which is 3,628,800. And which is equal to that. Let's put it onto the calculator. Divided by, let me just write 10 factorial. 10 factorial, that's 4 over 45. 4 over 45. I hope you guys understood this. Thank you for watching the full video, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.